Hi, Paul.
Hi, so lovely. I actually watched this in the midst of all the rains we had in Los Angeles last winter, so it was kind of a perfect poem to be reading. I guess I wonder. So this was three separate elements that were done blindly, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you married them. So I guess I wondered, in bringing them all together, what were the happy accidents that delighted you?
I mean, there's so many happy accidents. The whole thing is really a happy accident. It was a literal experiment, and I had no idea if it was going to work or not. So just to clarify, a friend had given me like an 8mm piece of found footage that I think he got it from an estate sale. And in the front, it just said New York, 1953, and on the back it said lousy. And I was like, well, I wonder what that could be. And I wasn't sure if they were talking about the content or like the physical, like if the film itself like was damaged. So I threw it on the wall and I recorded it for posterity. And then upon doing that, realized that I kind of like what's here, but I need to cut out the bits that are actually lousy. I did that, and then a friend of mine, Daniel DeVaughn, he's a poet in Fort Worth, Texas, and I really. I love poetry, but I can't write. I'm not a very good writer. So I asked him to write a poem to go with the footage without seeing the footage. And then I got another friend to score the film without reading the poem or seeing the footage. And I just kind of married them together. Trying to make an automatic film in the style of An Exquisite Corpse is a way to collaborate with my friends because, we don't live together and we're all in lockdown and we might as well do something creative. So kind of as an exercise.
Yeah. Can you take a little step towards me just for the camera? Yeah. One thing I noticed was the poem talks about drinking, and they're right there downing their cocktails.
Yeah, all accidental. I mean, he had no idea that was going to be in the footage. I guess the other thing was when there's like a horn at the end. That's when they're all making out and kissing, and again, a total accident. It just kind of sort of paired up well with what was being shown. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of editing that's involved, obviously, because he gave me the poem. I typed it on a typewriter, each line 5 times, and then looped it in After Effects. And so the only real editing was sort of breaking it apart to fit on screen, because some of the passages are long, and they're not going to fit on a normal screen without being over something. So I had to kind of break it up a little bit. But other than doing just that, I showed it to them and asked them if it's okay if I screen it and send it places, and here we are.
Yay. I guess I also wonder, in watching this, my mind goes to, I start creating stories about who these people might be or what their relationships. Did you start to develop kind of relationships with these characters?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, who these people are and why this footage ended up in my hands. I have, I'll never be able to track them down because there's not an actual address. I just have a date and a location, and clearly, they're all, if I could find the children of these people, maybe I could do it. But I don't have any leads or anything like that because, again, I kind of think it's a little depressing that people, when you find stuff like this at an estate sale, it's literally someone is selling their own memory. They're selling their. The only, the only document of their life or the life of someone that they knew. And I kind of find that a little depressing, so I want to give it new life, but I can't just screen the lousy footage, as is. I've got to adapt it some way. So this is kind of a way of showing a window into someone else's world. And yeah.
Yeah, questions from the audience? Anyone? Go ahead.
You may have already answered this, but the film footage, did you do any editing on that once you got the music and the words, or did you leave it exactly as you had it at the beginning?
I left it exactly as I had it because I gave him a time code of how long I needed the music to be. And once I saw it lining up, before the poem was in there, and then I saw it lining up, and I was like, dear God, this kind of actually works as it is. So no, I didn't really go back and change anything. I adjusted, again, the poem a little bit. But yeah, no, the edits stayed where they were. I mean, I also, again, tried to try to use the best bits. I front-loaded it with the stuff that I thought was really good, and then by the end of it, it's grandma's birthday, but the party is kind of like a luau, but it's not really explained. There's a cop at some point, but he's literally in like one frame. And I was like, oh, that's going in, you know? Like, why is there a cop here? Obviously, he knows these people. Yeah, none of it really made sense. And then, I guess, the title, "A Body Appeared at the Lake Today," you know, I chose that as a line from the poem, and I asked Daniel, the poet, if I could use that. He's like, okay, I just want you to know what you're doing. Like, there's a thing in poetry, it's called an anchor line, because sometimes you're describing, like, the emotional states of clouds or something like that. And it's like very abstract and it's hard for people to sort of grasp onto, but you have a line in there that is sort of centered around something. A body appeared at the lake today. That's something that you can actually visualize and something you could put together. So if that leads into your mind going somewhere else with it, then it's good. But just reading the poem on paper, that line stood out to me. It's like, oh, that has to be the title. I'm not really one for provocation, but I thought that was cool.
So another question? I saw a hand back there. Oh, go ahead.
Can you just clarify, did you give any direction to any of your collaborators whatsoever, or was it just like anything you wanted, it was a complete freedom, or did you give them anything to start from?
I told them, New York, 1953, lousy. That's all I can, because I want it to be something that they're proud of, it's something that they want to create, and so like by giving any kind of instruction takes away from the automatic process a little bit. And the exquisite corpse thing, I mean, you know, the French surrealists would just sit around in cafes and fold a piece of paper twice, and when they passed it 4 times, and when they open it up, it's something that shouldn't exist. And so I'm trying to bring that into cinema in my own kind of way.
How long of a process was it from the time that you got the footage originally? How long did it take for you to put this together working with your collaborators?
I gave them as much time as they needed, because once I had cut the footage together, I was like, okay, this is an appropriate length. I think, like, I'm, very, very hesitant to bore people. I don't want it to be too long. I would never see this as like a feature or anything like that. So I think it took about a year of just waiting on them, and then what they gave me, sort of figuring it out, and then a year of film festival rejections, and then this year of acceptances. So it's kind of the way it goes.
Anyone else? So what other projects do you have in store?
I have a lot of other footage, and I shoot a lot of Super 8 stuff that I haven't I don't have money to develop yet. So I can give you my Venmo if you want to help out with that process. But also just trying my hand at writing. Actually, like, I'm very inspired by my friends who are doing stuff. And I do want to shout out Elizabeth Yu. She did the poster for this. She's a great painter, and I can give you a card later if you want to check it out. But yeah, just working on more short form stuff. I really celebrate short films. I think some people use them as a gateway into a feature, but I like the Kenneth Anger method, that they really are their own form of language.
Kenneth Anger.
Kenneth Anger.
Thank you so much, Brian.